Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And very good day to uh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and dear brothers and sisters. Today we will be discussing about chapter 5 uh, on the topic of corporate identity, branding, and corporate reputations. So, under this topic, we will learn about corporate identity management, establishing, maintaining, and protecting corporate reputation with different stakeholder groups. Corporate identity is a strategically projecting a particular positive image of this organization. And corporate identity is to build, maintain, and protect strong reputations with stakeholders. Corporate identity leads to stakeholders accepting and supporting the organization. So, corporate identity gives organization first choice status with investors, customers, employees, and other stakeholders, meaning that identity of each corporate is really important for people to favor, to choose, and also to be on the side of the corporate. What are the advantages of corporate image investing? First, we look into the distinctiveness. So, when we have our own corporate image, stakeholders will be able to recognize our organizations, and employees have a strong image, helps raise, motivate, and morale of the employees. So, the employees will have the we feeling, mean belongingness, yeah? Feeling of belongingness with the organization. So, corporate image is very important to the organization. On top of that, corporate image also will give an impact for their presence. So, the impact of positive corporate image, it will give favor or favoritisms by the customers, the shareholders, even the investors to deal with the organizations. And then, in terms of stakeholders, it will avoid conflicting images and management, especially important as individual more than one stakeholder roles. What is corporate identity? Originally, corporate identity focused on logos and visual design. Now, corporate identity encompasses all forms of communication. Corporate identity not just outward embodiment of company but also intrinsic characteristics or trait of company that provide specificity. According to Burke and Steedle model of corporate identity, there are three things consist or represent the corporate personality, which is behavior, communication, and symbolism. So when we look at the personality of any corporation, we look at how that corporate behave and how that corporate communicate the message, or how they communicate with their customers, investors, suppliers, and also what sort of symbol that they are using to project a positive image of the organization. So, corporate image management adds an important symbolic dimension to corporate communication. If we look at this diagram, we can see clearly that the image or the identity of the organization rooted from the culture history of the organization. From the culture history, it goes or it developed into the corporate strategy. So, corporate strategy will be manifested or will be expressed through the corporate identity mix, which is behavior, communicators, communications, and symbolisms. So this corporate identity mix will lead to the organizational performance because from there it will be able to strengthen the financial performance, increase sales, and create a very positive or harmony environment as well as human resource management becoming better. So in between the corporate identity and organizational performance, it is where the corporate reputations will always be communicated between the stakeholders. So among the stakeholders, they will talk about the reputations of the organization when they're looking at the behavior, communication, and symbolism of the organizations. Then it will determine the decision made by their present and future stakeholders. In explaining the corporate identity in relation to corporate reputation, we can look into this diagram where on the left side we can see the symbolic, and then the middle is form, and the lower part is about cognitive. And on this side we can see internal and focus, at the middle, and external. So if you look at the social identity, organizational identity, and corporate identity, there are three things. Where if you look at the social identity, it is more on internal and cognitive, something which within the people. And then when we look at the organizational identity, it's about focus, what you want to be known by others, how do you want to present yourself, and it is in terms of form, how you actually want to form the identity of your organization, yeah, and you focus on what. While in terms of external and also symbolic, is about corporate identity. So corporate identity is having a relation with the symbolic. So when people look at you, they know what kind of organization it is. When they look at your symbol, for example, when they look at the color that you choose for your organization, and when they look at the behavior of your people within that organization, then they can already identify what kind of organization you are, whether you are democratic organization, socialist organization, or communist organizations. Yeah. So from their primary emphases, they are products, yeah, material and artifacts, logos, advertising slogans, tangible content, structure, concrete instantiations of single identity, images, and reactions of stakeholders. In the sense making, it is about contextual and negotiated meanings of the organization and its identity. While in terms of, it is also a subject to change over time, and it is a basis for belonging and identifications. While in terms of categorization, it is about categorization and judgment of self and others in group. For example, department. And categorization also explain the basis for identification. In further details, the explanations of monolithic, endorsed, and branded. Yeah, for example, monolithic is a single, all-embracing identity. Products all carry the same corporate name. For example, like Sony, BMW, Virgin, and Philips. They are bringing their brand name, the organization name, on their product. While endorsed is a company where their businesses and products brands are endorsed or backed with the parent company name. For example, like General Motors, Kellogg's, Nestle, and Cadbury, they have their product name, yeah, but then they also have their company name on the product, yeah. While branded is individual businesses or a product brand each carry their own name and are seemingly unrelated to each other. For example, like here is Procter and Gamble. The product name is Ariel Ola. Electrolux is Zanussi, and another one is Dove. Aligning identity, image, and reputation. The importance of alignment between identity, image, and reputation. First, it strengthens the organizational culture as experienced by the employees. And also, it will define the corporate vision as articulated by senior managers. And also, it will clearly explain the corporate image or reputation in the minds of external stakeholders. This is a toolkit developed to assess the alignment between vision, culture, and image. You can see here, vision is coming from the top management or the managers. It goes to the culture, and there is a vision culture gap. Culture is experienced by employees, and it goes to the image where there will be an image culture gap, and in terms of image, this is how the stakeholder perceive about the organization from the observations, maybe from the experience, maybe, and it will lead to the image vision gap towards the visions. The explanations of this is about visions is senior management's aspirations for the organization, while culture is the organization's values as felt and shared by all employees of the organization. An image is the image or impression that outside stakeholders have of the organization. And when we talk about the interface between vision and image, we can know, yeah, we can understand, we can recognize and understand about the interface between vision and culture when we ask such questions. And if we are able to answer that, then we know from there what are the interface between vision and culture. The first question is about, does the organization practice the values it promotes? You walk your talk. You talk about that. Do you walk on it? You act on it or not? Second, does the organization vision inspire all its subcultures? So when you create your vision, you must make sure that every single activities within the organization are all inspired by the visions. And the third question is, are the organization visions and culture sufficiently differentiated from those of its competitors? Yeah? So organization vision and culture sufficiently differentiated from those of its competitors. So it is very important to have your own unique uh, image an identity to clearly differentiate yourself with your competitors so that your present consumers or present customers does not confuse or have wrong perceptions of you. Next, we have to align identity, image, and reputation in the organization. When we want to align the identity, image, and reputations of our organization, we have to ask the questions. For example, the first question is, who are the organization stakeholders? Are they fall in the definitive stakeholders or not? Then, what sort of identity, image, and reputation you should portray, you should express to your definitive stakeholders? And what do the stakeholders want from the organization? Do they want to have just a product? They want to have product with the quality, and they want to have the product with the trust. So we have to understand our stakeholders so that we are able to fulfill the expectation and demand on our product and our services. And the third one is the organization effectively communicating its visions to its stakeholder. So the organization vision is not for the internal stakeholder or the employees of the organization only, but vision is something big to spell out, to what we call that, promote to the people out there, to convince them and to gain their trust over the product and services that you offer to them. So vision is not something simple to look after. So that's how you have to develop a realistic visions, a visions with hopes, a visions with what we call that element of uh, promise, and it will convince and create trust among the stakeholder to support your product and your brand. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for the lecture on corporate identity, image, and reputation. So, hope that you all have gained the understanding on this topic, and I hope that you will go into the textbook chapter to understand more on this topic. With that, thank you very much and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera.